The safest thing your HOA can do this year is exactly the thing that makes your unit unsellable. There's a building in Manhattan Beach with a worse balcony rot situation than the same building in Panorama City. Guess which one is actually screwed? Both of those buildings are 3 stories, both built in 1974, both have wood frames, both of them have balconies off of every living room, they have open staircases running up the outside, both got their inspection report back this year, and both of the buildings a normal bank won't lend on. The one in Manhattan Beach is going to be just fine. The sellers there take a hit and move on with their lives. However, the ones in Panorama City, that takes a decade to come back, and some of the people who own in that complex are probably not going to get out at all. Same law, same wood, worse damage at the beach, and opposite outcomes. I'm Tyler Drinkwater. I sell real estate in Los Angeles, and this year I have sold a lot of condos. The law that put both of these buildings in jeopardy is called SB 326, and it passed in 2019, which is exactly why everyone ignores it, but it quietly turned into a deal killer about 8 months ago. Let me make these 2 scenarios real for you because I want you tracking them the whole way through. These are just illustrations, they're not actual addresses. I built them out of 2 case studies that I ran into myself this year, and you'll get both of those before we're done. Building A sits 2 blocks off the sand in Manhattan Beach. It's 24 units, and the units trade for around $1,400,000 each. Building B sits in Panorama City. It's 28 units, and those units sell for around $600,000 apiece. Structurally, they're twins. Same wood, same balconies, same deferred waterproofing. And building A actually has the worst physical problem because salt air and marine layer moisture do to exposed wood exactly what you would expect them to do. A balcony 2 blocks off the ocean has been under chemical attack since the Ford administration. And when those beach reports come back, they come back worse. So on the engineering, building A is actually in more trouble. And I want you to hold on to it because it's about to stop mattering entirely. Here's the law quickly because it's the setup and not the story. In 2015, a balcony collapsed at an apartment building in Berkeley, California, and 6 people died because of the wood rot behind a waterproofing failure that nobody could see from the outside. California came back with 2 laws. The first is SB 721, which covers apartment buildings. The second is SB 326, which covers condominiums. SB 326 became Civil Code Section 1. Section 5551 says any condominium association with 3 or more units has to hire a licensed architect or engineer to inspect balconies, decks, walkways, and stairways that sit more than 6 feet above ground and are supported substantially by wood. Steel and concrete balconies are out of it, ground floor patios are out of it, which is why the towers on Wilshire Corridor are largely untouched by this, and the wood frame low-rises from the 60s through the 80s are buried in it. North Hollywood, Van Nuys, Valley Village, Panorama City, and just as much Marina del Rey, Playa del Rey, Santa Monica, and everything old through Manhattan Beach, Hermosa Beach, and Redondo Beach. Reports were due January 1st of 2025, and then are repeated every 9 years forever. One thing worth knowing, because half the boards in this city have it wrong, there was an extension to January 1st of 2026, and that was for SB apartments. Condominium associations never got an extension. So if a listing agent tells you the building is handling it, ask them which deadline they think they're handling. Why does this report matter all of a sudden? Well, because from 2019 to 2025, not much happened. Because SB 326 has no fine attached to it. There's no agency that's auditing associations for it. HOA boards worked that out and slow-walked it, which was rational right up until this year. 2 things changed in 2026 and they lock together. On January 1st of this year, SB 410 amended Civil Code 4525, the section governing what a seller hands to a buyer in a common interest development sale, and it put the most recent 5551 report into that package. Your buyer now receives it by law, and if the association never did the inspection, the absence of the report itself is disclosable and material. Now, on August 3rd, just a few days ago, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac retired limited review for established projects, which pushes far more condo files into full review category. And full review examines the building instead of just the borrower. Inside those standards is the line that matters, which is that if a structural inspection was completed within 3 years of the lender's review date, the lender is required to obtain it and read it. The state guaranteed the report is in the file. The federal side guaranteed somebody has to open it. 3 doors, and from there, all of them are locked. Unaddressed critical repairs in the report, the project is ineligible until they are fixed and documented. Unfunded repairs to critical components over $10,000 per unit inside 12 months, ineligible. And if the lender cannot determine whether significant deferred maintenance exists, which is exactly what happens when there is no report at all, guess what? That also triggers ineligibility. The building fails because the inspection found rot, and the building fails because nobody ever inspected. There's no version of doing nothing that protects you. That first one is not hypothetical for me. I had a low-rise listing on 10th Street in Santa Monica, and this law got its hands around that deal. The building conducted the inspection after the deadline. The inspection found multiple issues. The HOA did not have the money to pay for those issues, and an assessment went up for a vote. My owner just wanted to get out. The only way that they ended up being able to do that was with a cash buyer. That building was not just unwarrantable, it was unlendable. And it stays that way until every engineering issue is resolved, which who knows how long that'll take or where that money's even gonna come from. Now back to our examples. Building A and Building B are identical positions. Both are non-warrantable. No conventional financing, no refinance, no agency-backed line of credit. If you own a building like either of these and you don't know where your association stands, drop the address in the comments and we'll help you out. Okay, this is where the two buildings stop being the same building, okay? Building A in Manhattan Beach loses its conventional buyers exactly like anywhere else, but that market has a deep bench sitting behind it. Cash buyers, second home buyers, investors. They all have wanted to be on that block for years and they've been waiting for a reason to get a discount. So somebody shows up with a checkbook, the seller eats a real haircut, and the unit trades. Painful, survivable, it's over. But Building B in Panorama City, they had the same report, they had the same rot, except in that building, the buyer pool and the loan are the same thing. Take conventional financing away, and there's almost nobody left standing because the entire buyer profile at $600,000 is a person who needs the loan to be in the room at all. Here's what it looked like on my end. I worked with a buyer this year that was around $500,000 price point, which in Los Angeles means you're gonna be in the valley and you're gonna be looking at condos because that's essentially the only place that that price point still exists. Building after building after building after building, this is the wall that we hit. Either there was no inspection report and the lender could not clear the building, or there was a report with a number attached to it that nobody had funded yet. My buyer did not get outbid. They didn't change their mind. The financing simply wasn't available on the inventory that they could afford. And the money that is still available costs more. Non-warrantable means higher rate, bigger down payment, and tighter terms. The same money costs more. So the exact same problem is more expensive to solve in the markets that are least able to absorb it. The seller takes a discount because the pool of buyers shrank, and the buyer pays a premium because the money got harder to obtain on the same transaction at the same time. Both sides of the table lose and the spread goes to whoever's holding cash. Then look at the repair because this math does not scale the way people assume. Say the assessment lands at $40,000 a unit. In Building A, $40,000 is about 3% of the unit's value and it's a negotiation. In Building B, $40,000 is closer to 7% of the unit's value. And for a lot of those owners, the unit is not part of their net worth, it is their net worth. No second property, no unused line of credit sitting there. So Building B's board looks at what its owners can actually pay and votes to defer, which is humane and financially catastrophic. Deferring is what keeps the building unfinanceable. Unfinanceable is what drives the values down, and lower values make the next assessment vote harder to pass than the one before it. Building A gets recapitalized by outside money. Building B has no outside money coming to save it. Same statute, same wood, same report, and the outcome gets decided by the balance sheet standing behind the zip. This repeats because the 9-year cycle means it was never a one-time cleanup. Building A gets inspected again in 2034, having done the repairs, and it passes. Building B gets inspected again in 34 with 9 more years of water in the same wood and get a number that gets bigger every year. That is the part that should bother you. The gap between those two buildings is not closing, it's compounding. And the engine driving it is a safety law that reads as completely neutral on paper. So what do you actually do? I'm not an attorney. This is not legal advice. This is what I do on my own files. If you're selling, pull 3 documents before you list instead of after you're in escrow, as it has been previously. The 5551 report with its date, the reserve study showing it was incorporated, and the board minutes covering the repair plan. If the report came back bad, get a fourth document, which is the board's funding resolution, because a repair funded through a levied special assessment gets treated differently than an unfunded one. That single piece of paper can be the difference between a financeable building and a cash-only building, like I had. So confirm it with your lender and then go make that call. If you're buying, there are 5 questions in writing that you should ask before you write the offer. 1. Has the association completed its 5551 inspection and on what date? 2. Does the report identify critical repairs? 3. Has the board adopted a repair plan and is it funded? 4. Is a special assessment levied or under discussion? And 5. Has the report been incorporated into the reserve study? If the listing agent cannot answer those 5 questions, you have not found a deal, you have found a research project, and you should price it accordingly. Now, if you sit on the board of a building B, understand that the deferral is the expensive choice. It just feels like the cheap one every single time, but it compounds. I'm building a file on this exact thing, building by building, from the valley down to the beach cities. Which buildings have a completed report, which one have critical repairs sitting open, which one lenders are already backing away from. So if you own in a building that you think is exposed or you're about to buy a condo, comment balcony, send me the address, and I will tell you what I have on that building. And if I don't have it yet, my team and I will go out and find it. If you own a condo in Los Angeles, make sure to subscribe. I'm doing one of these every time a rule moves, and more of them are moving this year.